أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله صلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to chapter 13, which is the expenditure cycle. This is the second of the chapters that we are going to, second of the four chapters that we're going to discuss in the business cycles. We discussed revenue cycle in the two previous classes. The expenditure cycle is, so to say, the opposite of the revenue cycle. In the revenue cycle, the business sells to customers and collects payments. In the expenditure cycle, the business purchases from suppliers and makes payments to them. So the primary objective of the expenditure cycle is to minimize the cost of buying and maintaining inventory, supplies, and services. So every business needs to buy inventory that either uses to manufacture goods or sell to the customers if they're buying ready-made goods and selling the ready-made goods. And they need supplies and also need services such as cleaning, security, etc. An expenditure cycle's job is to order those goods and services and pay for them. There are certain communications that flow into the expenditure cycle from the other cycles to conduct their operations. The first is from the revenue systems. The expenditure cycle needs to know the confirmed and expected orders. So the inventory is ordered based on how many the business can sell. And the revenue system knows, the revenue cycle knows how many customers have ordered or how many customers are expected to buy. So based on that, the expenditure cycle orders inventory, and this sales information or forecasted sales information comes from the revenue cycle. The expenditure cycle also needs to know how much inventory is already available. The inventory warehouse is where the inventory is kept, and they have the information on how much inventory is available. So based on that, the expenditure cycle orders inventory, and this information of inventory on hand comes from the inventory warehouse. Then we have the production systems. If the company is a manufacturing company that manufacture goods, the expenditure cycle needs to know the manufacturing schedule so that they can order the raw materials inventory based on how many goods are going to be manufactured. And the last is vendors or suppliers. The word vendor is another word for suppliers. The expenditure cycle needs to know from the vendors the prices that they're offering, the delivery dates when they can deliver the goods, and the invoices, the bills after they have purchased the goods. So the vendors provide the expenditure cycle with these information. These are communications or information that is coming to the expenditure cycle from these other places. Similarly, there is communication that is flowing out from the expenditure cycle to the other places. For example, the vendors or the suppliers receive purchase orders from the expenditure cycle. And we're going to discuss in more detail what is included in the purchase orders near the end of this class. The purchase orders have the details of what is ordered, and this comes from the expenditure cycle and it goes to the vendors or suppliers. So it's necessary for you to know the word vendor, which is a substitute for the word supplier. Also, the expenditure cycle informs the inventory warehouse what was ordered and when the inventory will be received. So the people in the inventory warehouse are ready to receive the truck with the inventory when it arrives. Similarly, the production individuals, the production personnel should know what was ordered and when the inventory should arrive so that they can continue with their plan for production. And lastly, the general ledger knows from the expenditure cycle the details of the payables, the expenses, the inventory, and the capital assets. The capital assets are equipment, furniture, etc. that was ordered by the expenditure cycle, and the general ledger needs to know all these details so that they can make the appropriate journal entries. Now, these are pretty common sense information. If you have any questions, you can stop me anytime and you can ask me. There are certain decisions that are made in the expenditure cycle. Number one, the inventory or the supply levels to be maintained. So the business needs to decide how much of inventory for each item we need to carry, how many bottles of shampoo we should have, how many kilograms of bananas we should have, how many phones we should carry, etc. And the company maintains that inventory. And whenever that inventory level goes below the set level, the company orders more. Right? So this has to be decided by every business, and the expenditure cycle is responsible for deciding this. We have the vendors from whom the company is going to purchase goods. So that depends on the price, the quality that the vendor is offering, and then the purchase consolidations. Purchase consolidations mean buying more than one item from the same vendor. So you might decide to buy printers and computers and projectors from the same supplier, from the same company, and this will give you a discount. This will get you a discount because you're buying more. So this has to be decided by the expenditure cycle. The storage of goods, how much should be stored, where it should be stored, this also should be decided by the expenditure cycle. Now, this we discussed also in the revenue cycle, that where the distribution centers should be, that's decided by the revenue cycle. So this is in conjunction with the revenue cycle. Both of them are responsible for deciding where the storage of the goods would be, and how much storage they need, etc. Inbound logistics and scheduling. So when should the inventory arrive and when should they receive the inventory? This must be decided by the expenditure cycle. Now, if you have a business like Lulu, where your busiest time starts from Thursday afternoon and it goes through Saturday evening, then you don't want to order and receive inventory during that busy time, because you will have customers all over the supermarket, and it would be difficult for you to store goods while the customers are in the store. So you want to do that right before the customers busy time of the supermarket is, and it would be, let's say, Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, when you do not have a lot of customers. So this is what you have to decide. Also, certain goods expire very quickly, so you want to buy and sell them as quickly as possible, and you want to receive them very close to the busiest time. So if you have bananas and tomatoes and things like that, you want that to arrive right before Thursday evening, when a lot of people will come to shop in your store. And then the last decision you have to make here on this slide is maximizing cash flow by taking early payment discounts. You remember in your financial accounting class something like 210 and 30, which is you get % discount if you buy within 10, pay within 10 days, and you get to pay the net amount if you pay within 30 days. Now, you might think, okay, 2% discount. What is 2% discount? Well, think about Lulu. They buy millions and millions of reals worth of inventory. So 2% is quite a bit for them. So if they can take that, that's a lot of savings. So if they can manage their cash and take all those discounts, then they can save a lot of money. Now we come to the 3 steps in the expenditure cycle: ordering, receiving, and paying. Now you remember, how many steps did we have in the revenue cycle? Who can remind us? Anyone here? How many steps we had? How many activities we had in the revenue cycle? Anyone? Six? Anyone else? Four. Four, I think. Four. Ahmad says four, right? Took a little bit to get the answer. Perhaps it took a little bit of time to open the slides from chapter 12. Look at it. What is the first step? Do you remember? There are four. What is the first step? Do you remember? Anyone? Sales order entry. What is the second one? Shipping. Very good. What is the third one? Billing. Very good. What is the fourth one? Cash collection. Very good. So now understand that one business is in the revenue cycle while the other business is in the expenditure cycle. So let's say Al Rayyan Water Company is selling water to Lulu and Lulu is buying. So when Al Rayyan is in the revenue cycle, Lulu is in the expenditure cycle. So Al Rayyan is going to receive the order. So first, Lulu is going to order because they're buying, right? They're the buyers. They're going to order. On the other side, the Al Rayyan Water Company is going to receive the order. Then Al Rayyan is going to ship the truck. Lulu is going to receive, and then they're going to send the bill, which is the billing, and then Lulu is going to pay, and they're going to receive the cash, right? They're going to collect the cash. So one company's revenue cycle interacts with the other company's expenditure cycle. So the three steps in the expenditure cycle is to order, and then receive once it's shipped, and then pay when the bill is received. And then receiving the selling company, the seller, would collect the cash after the payment is made. So the expenditure cycle has these three steps: ordering, receiving, and paying. Let's discuss the first step, which is ordering. Now, the ordering is based on sales, production, and inventory. Now, we do this in our home as well. When we prepare a grocery list, when you go to the supermarket and we buy things, we look at how much we need and how many we already have. So if we're buying milk, we need to see how many bottles of milk we already have, and then how many more we need. So for the business, it's the same: how many they can sell, right? Or how many they need to make, how many they need to produce, and how many they already have. Based on this, inventory is ordered. Inventory ordering methods are as follows. The three primary inventory ordering methods. The first one is economic order quantity. Economic order quantity means buying more to save. So if you walk into Lulu, for example, you will see 3 bottles of shampoo tied together, 4 tubes of toothpaste tied together, and they are cheaper than if you were to buy one. So let's say 1 tube of toothpaste is 10 reals. If you buy 3, it's 25. This is buying in bulk, buying more to save. And just think about how much Lulu buys and how much they can save. How many bottles of shampoo they buy, how many bottles of um, juice they buy, and how much toothpaste and all of the things they buy. So they have a large quantity of items that they buy, and then they save because they buy more. But you can only do this for items that do not expire quickly. For example, even if Lulu has a huge sale on tomatoes, you cannot buy 100 kilograms of tomatoes because you cannot eat that, and that will expire, right? But you can buy more of the items that do not expire quickly, like shampoo, soap, etc., toothpaste. So for the supermarket, it's the same thing. They can order based on economic order quantity for those items that do not expire quickly or that do not go out of fashion or do not become outdated quickly. So for example, they cannot buy thousands of iPhones because iPhone 12 is going to come out soon, and iPhone 11 is then going to sell for a cheaper price. So they need to use the economic order quantity for those items that have a longer shelf life, and they can keep them and sell them. The second type of inventory ordering system is materials requirement planning, where the inventory is purchased based on how much you can sell. So the sales are predictable, and the goods are also perishable. So, for example, a restaurant like Papa John's orders inventory based on how much they can sell. They need to forecast and calculate the sale, and it's easy to do for them. They have an idea based on past sales, how much they can sell, and based on that, they order the meat, the cheese, the tomatoes, the oil, etc. And this is called materials requirements planning. When sales are predictable, this can be done, and this is usually done for items that expire quickly. The third method is just in time, or JIT, where the inventory is ordered after the order has been received from the customers. For example, Boeing would order raw materials after they have received an order from Qatar Airways for airplanes. And in this case, they don't have to store the raw material inventory. They have some time to make the order for the customer. And then they also don't have to store the finished goods inventory, because once they have manufactured the goods are supplied immediately. The customers are waiting. So just in time inventory system is for those items that cannot be predicted. The sales of those cannot be predicted with accuracy. And in the just-in-time inventory system, the supplier must be very sharp. In other words, if your supplier is late in giving you the raw material, then you will be late in serving your customers. So if Boeing buys the steel and the uh, plastic and the GPS system from other companies, those companies have to serve Boeing very quickly, because Boeing's customer, Qatar Airways or Emirates or British Airways or American Airways, they're waiting to receive their planes. So if the suppliers of Boeing are late, then the customers will suffer, and they will blame Boeing, not the supplier. So in selecting the suppliers, Boeing must be very sharp. Now, if there is a question in the exam, an essay question in relation to the inventory ordering system, make sure you don't write EOQ or MRP and JIT. I have seen some students answering in the exam DDL or DML. That is not the right way to write an exam question. You should write it properly. You should answer the question properly. You should take care in answering the question. Write it clearly, write it properly, right? This is going to, you're taking the exam, taking it seriously. This will transfer into you being professional when you go and you write something, you communicate something. Just because you're giving it to a colleague or somebody inside your company, you write it with a poor handwriting, or you write it unclearly, or you write it where you do not capitalize the first letter, and so forth. Take extreme care of this communication, because you're going to enter the professional world very soon. You are no longer messaging in social media where anything goes, right? You can write anything as long as the other party understands. It's not like that in the professional world. You have to be professional when you write. So make sure you write the full description and not just JIT and MRP and things like that for any question in any exam, in any course. Okay? Try to train yourself with professional communication. Write clearly, follow the language, rules of the language, capitalize when you're supposed to capitalize, take extreme care of the spelling. All of these things are very important. So one more time, the three inventory systems: the economic order quantity, the materials requirement planning, and the just-in-time. Economic order quantity is used when you buy more and you save. Buying in bulk, meaning buying a lot and saving. Materials requirement planning is based on predicted sales. You order based on how much you can sell, and sales are easy to predict. And then just in time is where the difficulty is predicting the sales, and also you don't want to store a lot of goods, so you order after the customer has ordered, and your suppliers have to be very quick in giving you the delivery of the raw material. Any questions? Is this clear? Okay, very good. Now we go into the first step, which is ordering. The ordering is triggered by something called a purchase requisition. A purchase requisition is a request for ordering goods, and this is an internal document. This is sent from someone inside the company to the purchasing department, and then the purchasing department prepares something called a purchase order, which goes from the buying company to the seller, right? The purchase requisition includes the following. Let's say I notice a shortage, or I need a computer, and I need to order a computer. I would send a purchase request. The word requisition comes from request. I would send a purchase request to the purchasing department, and it would include the item numbers that I want to buy, that I want to order, the descriptions of those items, the quantities, and the prices. And I would also provide the suggested suppliers. So let's say I want the computer to come from Lenovo or Dell, right? My first choice is Lenovo, my second choice is Dell, etc. So I would put the suggested supplier, and who is requesting, right? Where to be delivered. So I would say delivered to the College of Business, let's say. When is it needed? Let's say I needed it within a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, and then the department and the account numbers. So all of these things should be included in the purchase request, which will transfer into the purchase order. Remember, the purchase requisition is an internal document. It's going from one department inside the company to the purchasing department, and the purchase order is prepared by the purchasing department, and it goes out to the seller. The purchase requisition is triggered by, number one, employee noticing a shortage. So the employee might see the inventory is low, inventory is less, and they can start a purchase requisition, or it could be automated. So the system could automatically keep track of how many bottles of milk is there, how many boxes of shoes are there, etc. So from that automated system, the inventory can be automatically reordered. And then purchase requisition is sent to the purchasing department, like I said. Now, there is a position called purchasing agent. The purchasing agent's job is to order the goods. And the purchasing agent uses the primary vendor which was previously approved to make frequent purchases. So every business has a list of primary vendors for different items that it purchases. For example, we have Lenovo and Dell at Qatar University, where we buy the computers from. We have Panasonic, from whom we buy the projectors. We have a vendor that supplies us with the furniture. We have an airline from whom we buy tickets. So we have a primary vendor for all of these items. The vendor is decided based on a few considerations which we're going to discuss. But when the purchasing agent is ordering the items, they go to the first primary vendor. So let's say they ordering a computer, they go to Lenovo first. And if Lenovo does not have, or they cannot deliver on time, they would go to the next in list, right? These vendors are decided beforehand based on the price, the quality, and the dependability. Now, there is something called best value. Best value. Best value is the combination of the most reasonable price and quality. So it's not the lowest price, it's not the highest price, it's not the lowest quality, it's not the highest quality, but it is the best combination of price and quality. When we make purchases, we look for something that is selling for a good price, and we are willing to pay more if the quality is different. So the combination of price and quality is what is what is sought, what is looked for, and the businesses decide the vendors based on the best combination of price and quality. There is one more thing that is considered, and that is dependability. Dependability means the items that they are going to deliver are going to be what was ordered. They're in the quality that was promised. They come on time. They're not damaged, and you find the right quantities. So you order 10 computers, 10 Lenovo computers, you would get 10 Lenovo computers, the same model that you ordered. You would get it at the time that it was promised. So all of these things are part of dependability. This dependability criteria is especially important if you're doing JIT. Why? Because the customers have already ordered the goods and you want the raw material based on those you're going to prepare, you're going to make, manufacture the items that you're going to sell. So if the suppliers are late or they send you the wrong items, right, or they send you poor quality items, then you will be late in giving your customers what they want, right? So this again is bad for your business. You don't want that. Is that clear? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to stop here, and we are going to continue chapter 13 next week, inshallah. I would uh, like to know if you have any questions about the groups or the project, right? Or if you have any questions about chapter 5, right? Chapter 5 exam is on Sunday. The details we discussed, and you can find it in the last 10 minutes of Sunday's lecture. The details, what is included and what type of questions, how long, how many questions, all of that is discussed in the last lecture, the last 10 minutes of the last video that is posted. The groups for Project A are available in Blackboard, and the Project A also we discussed in class. So any questions on the project or the groups or any content of chapter 5, anything you studied and you have questions on, I wanted to keep this time so that you can ask those questions. Of course, the email is always open, but sometimes students have conflicts with office hours, so they may have classes during the office hours. So I wanted to keep this time for you to ask me any questions if you had any questions. You have seen the groups, yeah? Every team is assigned a group leader. So let me see if we have any group leaders here today. If you are assigned a group leader, tell me. Ali, you're assigned a group leader, okay. Who else? Who else is a group leader? Ahmed, Ahmad, Omar, very good. Sharat, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 2 more. We have 7 groups. 5 group leaders, okay. So the assignment is Muhammad Hussein, okay. Very good. So the assignment is there. Ali is not the group leader. Okay, no problem. It doesn't matter whether you're a group leader or not. You work together. Inshallah, the group leader is there to organize and submit the assignment and make sure that all of this comes together, right? You should all work together. And if you have any questions for me, you can ask me now or via email or in the future classes. You should get started. The project is straightforward, and a few hours of work would generate a good outcome, inshallah. Any questions for me now regarding the project or the content of chapter 5? Everything is clear. The project is clear. You know what I'm expecting from you, what I want from you. Okay, if you don't have any questions, get started on the project. Don't waste the time. Get started, inshallah, and send me questions if you have any. All right, I will see you again on Sunday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.